non-existent.
Really?
It's in the food, the saltpeter, whatever it is. So to begin with, you don't have any
Your sex
urges.
drive goes down the
Totally,
crapper, yeah.
totally.
Wow.
That's to begin with. Second, there's nothing titillating in there. Howard Stern is probably the most sexiest show, on television.
Yeah.
You don't have time. I mean, we have female guards that look like gorillas,
Right.
So that's a turn
Yeah, I
off,
bet.
I mean, if you've been down a long, long time, the happiest guys in there were the gay guys, because
That makes perfect sense.
they're at
doesn't
home.
Yeah.
But they hung to themselves, and of course there was a few of the older gay guys would hit on the younger, fish that would come in. Because one guy was a barber, and when he'd cut the young guy's hair, he kind of straddled him.
Oh.
But the young guys, I mean.
You need to put this in your mouth so I can put your hair. for some reason.
But it's not Hollywood at all.
No.
And not Hollywood at all.
It
Not
sounds-
even the least little
It
bit.
sounds like you really enjoyed your time in prison.
Ah, man, it was
It was a good experience.
One
I
of
mean,
the-
I'm sure you didn't want to go there, but then
Well, I figure out. I'm a writer. I'm a comedian.
Yeah.
And I'm a stoner. So I learned and then I had to take a drug course. I had to take all
Really?
these courses. I had to go to school. I had to go to get my GED. I've never graduated high school. And so there's a law, if you're in prison, you have to take the courses.
Wow.
Of course, I failed it. The math. I couldn't do the math. I tried. I really tried. I studied.
Really? But the math is holding
Man,
you up.
well, it's algebra.
Yeah.
And can anybody here do algebra?
Not
no,
me.
not anymore.
Yeah.
Not
Not me.
anymore.
And then they said you could use calculators. And so I learned how to use a calculator. But then when the test came, they let me use it for like 5 minutes, and they yanked it away. And I was like, couldn't do it.
Man,
I worked in the garden there.
that must have made some jokes too,
Oh, yeah,
You in the
big
garden,
time.
of
Yeah,
course.
well, National Enquirer got a hold of the pictures that my con man cellmate sent him. and then, so the garden was great, because I could get away. And then I ended up hanging with the American Indians. They have a sweat lodge. That's a what do you call it? A religious right that every prison has to have a sweat lodge for the American Indians, and it's very cool.
Jeez, really?
Yeah, everyone.
What do you do there?
Sweat.
You just sit there and sweat with Indians.
Well, it's a ceremony.
Yeah.
It's a very ancient religious ceremony. It's very cool. Or not cool. It's hot as hell.
It's hot.
What it is, it's a lodge that you have to get on your hands and knees and crawl into. And you go clockwise around, and you sit down. And there's a large lodge leader, and no one else speaks except the leader. And he conducts the ceremony. And then the hot rocks are brought in, symbolizing the center of the universe, or the center of the earth, which is hot, molten rock. And then they chant and pour water on the rocks, and then they pull the hot, they seal it off, so it's like totally sealed. And then you sit in there and...
How bad did you want to be high in there?
Well, you know what happens? It's so
the
hot.
center of the universe, dude.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a situation? I mean, you talk about claustrophobia.
Yeah.
When you're in like that, there, in a situation like that, there, and your ego just goes out the door, or you go out the door.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a macho thing, you can't leave because all the other guys are, you have to sit it through. It's a warrior's thing.
How long is it that you're actually sweating like that?
They're called doors. You might, the longest door would be 45 minutes, and the shortest would be 20. At least it depends on the chanting. But what happens? You go into a state where you lose track of everything, but because you can't see anything, it's like you're totally blind in the heat, and it's
Sounds pretty wild.
you lose whatever toxins, spiritual toxins that you have. It disappears, and then you sweat, and then you get to like a near death state toward the end. And when you crawl out, a lot of people couldn't walk; they just fall. And then you lay there and sort of recuperate, and then your soul or your spirit sort of comes back into your body, and it takes a while, and then you're okay. But once a week.
Wow.
pretty wild,
Once
huh?
a week.
Yeah. once a week for 3 months.
Damn.
Oh yeah, there was, and time went by real fast.
I bet.
Once I started sweating.
Yeah.
So all that Hollywood crap, about the gang, plotting and the gangsters. Come on,
The hard
Louis.
time.
Come on, Louis. You distract them and all, all that crap. I mean, there was stuff going down like people had cell phones, and you could get a year in jail if they caught you with it.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I mean. Any infraction they would throw
Just add
you
more
in.
time on
Well,
it.
there was there was a camp, and then there was a real maximum security prison.
You want to stay in the camp?
Yeah, you want to stay in the camp. The max has barbed wire, and it's loud because mostly Spanish illegals, like 1,000 of them, all speaking Spanish, screaming at each other.
So you want to stay out of there?
You want to stay out of there.
Yeah.
I mean, and everybody, no respect.
Mm-hmm.
Like the heavy prisons, there's a respect factor. That's why my buddy Steve, he hated it over there because no one would, he's a white supremacy leader, but no one cared. It's tough being tough, and no one cares about it.
Yeah.
So what was the first thing you did when you got out?
I went to Starbucks.
Did you?
Yeah, my wife and a guy that did a biography on me, television thing. They took me right to Starbucks. I got a coffee because you can't, the coffee in jail, the food, and everything in jail is horrible. I mean, to the point, coffee tastes like warmed up dishwater.
Ugh.
And you're not allowed to relax and eat. You come in with your food. You gobble it down, and then you leave. You take what you can't eat, dump it in the thing, and throw put the tray. You eat off trays with plastic spoons. You're not allowed a knife.
Jeez.
Spoons. And people have been eating like that for like 15, 20 years. I mean, people have done time.
Doesn't sound like much fun.
It's not
I'm
fun.
sure you made the best of it, but probably not fun.
Well, what happens, you're in everybody's in the same boat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so your level of expecting good times varies. Now you get to watch television for an extra hour. That's a big woo.
Yeah.
Or you have a Christmas tree that for Christmas. These guys made they made a snowman out of toilet paper. It was pretty funny because the guards weren't too pleased. The counselors, we had women counselors. And they would walk around with suits and look at you and call you in their office and ask you questions like, are you keeping yourself clean and you behaved and all that. It's like school, and then you have to stand up, be counted every 4 hours.
Right.
They find you wherever you are at, or you have to be in a certain spot, and then you stand up and you wait for the guards to walk by and count you.
When you got out, did you find out like who your friends were, kind of thing? Yeah. Before you went in, were there any people that after you were in there kind of steered clear of you?
Yeah, Disney.
Disney.
Oh, that. Well, with me, I was lucky. I was like a big hero, inside, outside, everywhere I go now. People, hey, it was terrible what happened to you and all that. No, what happened, it's not so much you find out who your friends are. You find out who your friends, who people, there's certain people react. You're like, what's Pat Morita, the Karate Kid?
Sure.
Mr. Miyagi? He called me the night before I went in. And it was like getting a call from Mr. Miyagi telling me, you'll be okay. You'll be fine. Just want you to know. Good luck and all that good stuff.
Good thing you didn't think of when he was in Happy Days. That would have been a far less comforting call. Don't bend over.
No. Who else? I got some interesting non-calls. From I don't want to mention any names. And I won't. But there were some acquaintances of mine that could have done something. Arnold, for instance. Schwarzenegger. You know, I've smoked a joint with Arnold. You know, I've known Arnold for years. When he first got off the boat, and, you know,
He liked his pot, huh?
and we smoked up a lot. You know, and then all of a sudden he had amnesia when it came to me. You know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he couldn't remember. He couldn't remember.
Well, now he's the governor of California.
Yeah.
You can't be telling people he was friends with you.
Yeah.
Good morning.
I'm saying that as him. I mean, it's kind of pathetic.
I'm a
but-
cop, you idiot. I'm a police officer.
It's like, yeah. Hey, you know, how about helping me out, Arnold?
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
Hey, I'm going to jail, man.
Quiet.
No help from Arnold.
Not at all.
But when
Not
he
at
needed pot, he knew who to talk to, right?
Well, you know, and Cheech and I actually performed at one of his contests that he ran, you know, and I got a poster and everything, you know. And, no, we were, you know, and then when Up in Smoke, you know, our movies came out, he was struggling, you know. And,
Sure.
And then it was like, well, he was friends then. He knew me then. But Arnold's always has been like a celebrity whore, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember being in the gym, and we used to, a couple of us, you know, did movies and that. We used to count how many people he had talked to before he talked to us, and that would determine where you were at on the scale, you
A
know.
little Arnold seniority.
Yeah, a little Arnold thing, you know, the scale. But the funniest Arnold story, this one girl that used to work out looked almost identical to Demi Moore. And she come over to me one day and she goes, Arnold thinks I'm Demi Moore. And I said, why do you say that? She goes, he's training me. He thinks I'm Demi. I said, well, did you tell him? And she goes, no. He trained her for like 3 weeks. And then one day he found out, I guess he met Demi Moore at a party or something. And he come in, he wouldn't talk to her.
And then he's not training her anymore.
There's that dummy.
What a dick. He's just the worst.
What film are you doing with Cheech? You said you're doing another movie. That's great, man.
Yeah, we were working on it as a reunion movie before when I got busted. That was kind of funny because I ended up having to give Cheech all my bongs that the feds never found.